Thank you. I'm happy to start this discussion off. I just went back over my time I'm right now. I appreciate all the public comments. Um, and Danny, you're absolutely right. What you're seeing is frustration, and it's not to jab and say that the staff did anything intentional, but it is bothersome. When I reviewed all of the past videos, I looked at comments that we made and what the ask was, and I feel like tonight is not very fair to the applicant for Ever Me Foundation, because I don't ever think that their request should have been combined with my request. It should have been two separate requests. My request was on February 14th, so we're a full year, almost to the date, where I asked for us to look at celebratory events to match our proclamations. During that time, I brought up Juneteenth. And during that time, there was also a request that I haven't seen in here where Vice Mayor asked for feedback from the downtown businesses as to what works for them and what does not work for them. That's missing here as well. On March 28th, I asked for us to again look at the Juneteenth event. And I asked for us to specifically, as a city, do something. Now, let me tell you why I'm saying us as a city and not us punting the ball to a third party. If there is not an application next year, it won't happen next year. My goal is to have this become an annual event. And to Rod's point, I'm happy you asked for us to talk about the importance. I want to say the reason why this keeps coming up to me, and I have tried my best every time this comes up not to get emotional, because of something Frederick Douglass said. Frederick Douglass, when asked about July 4th, 1776, said, what to a slave is the 4th of July? I'm going to add to that, what to the African American is the 4th of July? What to the woman was the 4th of July? Pre-women suffrage, people were still enslaved. So there was no independence for people who look like me in gender, by my gender choices, and by the color of my skin. So I'm not saying denounce the 4th of July. I'm all American. I'm saying add to perfect us establishing the responsibility of what happened, which was slavery. Now, for those of you who do not know, on January 1st, 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, not just to end slavery, but to protect the Union. Abraham actually said if he could continue slavery, he would have continued slavery if the Union was supported. But on that day, he signed the Emancipation Proclamation to support the Union, and slaves were freed. However, not all people were freed. It took 2 more years. It wasn't until June 19th, 2 years later, that you had people in Texas who were still murdered, raped. We're going to tell the truth tonight. Raped by their masters, beaten, who were still enslaved and forced into work, still for 2 additional years when they had freedom. It wasn't until June 19th, 1865, that all people were free. But then guess what? When we had a time where we can get economic advantages, Jim Crow laws came into place. And you still have the effects of slavery. You have the effects of Jim Crow that still keep people like me and people who are lighter than me, who are brown, and women still with unequal pay. And now we add to it people who have a different sexual orientation and disability. I apologize, I'm emotional, because this is important. This is why I ran. I don't need the money. This year, I got my returns back, and from the city of Brentwood, I made $83 after my medical benefits were paid. I do not do this for money. I do this because there are people with disabilities like me. I do this with people who have skin like me, who have my gender, who do not have a voice. And I think that we need to make this as important. We go all out for the 4th of July. And I asked in February for this. And yes, I'm not only frustrated, I'm pissed. And then it was combined with someone who I adore and her daughter who I adore. But it's not fair to the applicant, because right now, based on what I'm seeing in the staff report, By granting the applicant money, it does not support us continuing it in the future. It just puts a Band-Aid that we're going to have of Juneteenth thrown by them this year. And it puts them in an unfair advantage. They submitted their application. After the agenda came out, I refused. I know Velma personally, not from any personal advantages that I get with her, because she does a lot of community work. And I had to get to know Velma. She does a lot. Her daughter does a lot for the community. I got to know them. I went to the Juneteenth they threw here, which was a good start. I went to the Juneteenth, and Velma knows I'm brutally honest. I know nothing but the truth. To their Juneteenth event last year, it was an epic, epic fail. And it's no disrespect to any one of them, but I tell the absolute truth. For me, what I asked for, and I said it in May, when we do something, we should do it in excellence. Bruce, you actually said, and I appreciate you falling on your sword, sir. That is very honorable. 10, I appreciate you saying, telling the truth. Look, I didn't even have the bandwidth. It was just me doing the job of several people. But the truth is, we get a lot of other stuff done. We did 4th of July in Exodus, the 76 year, and we couldn't take a time to put it together. We have 2 people here saying they can get it done in 4 months. But a whole staff can't get it done in the time period. And in May, what Bruce told me was, I reviewed the videotapes. Bruce said, we don't have the bandwidth. Juneteenth 2023 is only a few months around the corner. We can't get it done. I laughed and I said, sir, I'm not expecting that from you, but I will hope by next year. And you said yes. And now we're next year. And as a city, we can't put it together. And it puts me in a complicated position to sit across from somebody who I adore and respect, and to see her daughter on this thing, to sit back and know that you're asking me to put them in a complicated position when they submitted their application in November. They submitted their application in November. It is now the end of February. We're considering it. They have limited time. And my concern is that we're going to get what they did last year. And I'm being honest. In Antioch. And that is not what if you read my article, that is not what I want for the city of Brentwood. I do not think that's what the residents want. So what I'm trying to figure out is, how can we have a both and? How can we support the vision of people who believe in Juneteenth as much as I do? How can we support them? But how can we have everybody collectively sit at the table in our efforts as a city, put the same freaking effort that I see on the 4th of July towards Juneteenth? Because Juneteenth is my 4th of July. That's my barbecue day. That's my day to celebrate that I don't have shackles on my feet. That's my day that I know nobody's putting nets on the side of boats because people were jumping to their death because they didn't want to be enslaved. That's my celebration day. So I don't want anybody up here to sugarcoat and BS anybody. How do we get it done? Because every time we talk about DEI right now, it is a bad word. Nobody wants to do DEI trainings anymore. George Floyd died in vain. Everybody cared about him at first, and nobody cares anymore. But I'm still carrying on to make sure that that kind of stuff never happens again. I would like to see for Juneteenth, which was beautiful the year that I saw it in Antioch. I left here. It was a great event. It was a good event. It was a good start for people who had limited time. And though we supported with $1,000, they had limited resources, and it was a good event. Then I went to Antioch, and I'm not going to diss Antioch, even though they didn't support this group. But when I went there, police presence, to see intersectionality between Black people and police. So we can take down the veil that says there's a bad thing where we're arguing Black lives versus blue lives. It's stupid. When we know they're there to protect and serve. I'm sorry I'm ranting. You guys elected me, and I'm gonna take my moment to do it because I'm passionate about it. And you're gonna keep hearing me talk about it. But we need to see it. I would love to see an event where our police are playing with kids, the same way that I've seen at the Dia de los Muertos events, that the other events that we support, that's what they need to see. That's what Black kids need to see. Police are unintimidating. They're here to protect and serve you. To see our community leaders, white men, Black men, the same thing Martin Luther King said, standing up and making statements. At the Juneteenth that Velma threw, that her daughter and her threw, Clarissa and Velma threw, I saw I'm talking about here in 2022, there were all of 5 white people. Everybody else was Black. That's a damn shame. And you guys can, on Zoom, you can cite me for saying damn, but it was a damn shame. And I didn't see any city staff, and that was prior to me being on city council. That's ridiculous. So I have a lot more to say, but I'm done.